Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to ATB Hammered. This is your host, Michael Bird, and I'm coming at you from the ATB studios in Raleigh, North Carolina. Today I'm joined via the Hammered Hotline by producer, director, publisher, speaker, writer, podcaster, dating enthusiast, and the host of the Great Love Debate. Brian, how the hell are you, man?
Good. How you doing? That's quite a mouthful.
Man, I'm telling you, I was like, wow, look at all these accolades, man. You've done quite a lot of stuff. How long have you been in this type of business?
Well, I've been in show business as a writer, director, producer for about 20 years. Only in the last 5 have I become what they want to call the talent. So only recently have I sort of taken the microphone for myself.
I mean, I've seen you are called America's leading dating influencer, a master provocateur.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I used to say that my job was to ask all the questions, but we have asked those questions so many times in so many places of so many people that we do have some of the answers now, I think.
Yeah, just from listening to your podcast over the past couple of days, it seems like you are asked a few of these questions over and over and over again, like your definition of love. So one time, can you just say what your definition of love is on my show?
My personal definition of love is when there's nothing I'm doing that I wouldn't rather be doing with her. So that doesn't mean I have to do everything with her. It just means if I'm doing something, I'd rather she be the one I'm doing it with. So if I feel that, I think I love her.
And you know, I'm kind of the same way, because after I heard you say that the first time, I got to thinking, and I'm like, I think, because I never defined love for myself. I don't even know if I believed in love at first, because I think people get married off of lust, and usually that lust goes away after like the first year or after you have that first child. I can only speak for myself. But yeah, love. If love is when you have someone and you would drop everything you're doing right now to do it with that person. That's what I think.
Right, and if you can't do it with that person, you at least can't wait to share it with that person. You can't wait to talk about that person. I tell people that all the time. If you want to find it, I think you have to define it for you first, and it's got to be a real personal definition. You know. I could say, I love ice cream and I love the New York Giants, but that's different from how you feel about a person. And once you sort of define what it is you're looking for and define what that feeling you want is, I think it's a lot easier to find it then.
Yeah, that you had a quote that really like hit me in one of your podcasts. It's not that you haven't met the right person yet; it's that you haven't been the right person, and that resonated a lot with me. It made me sit and think, I have all this criteria that I set for women that I'm looking for, all these red flags I look for. Man, your show is like full of little pins that I just kept writing down,
Yeah, that's fun. I think people always get taken aback, like, oh, wait, you're blaming me for it? I'm like, no, what I'm saying is, you're actually in control of your own dating fate. You're in control of your outcome. That if you can sort of create this environment for yourself, it's a lot easier for people to sort of come into that. And, I think that every single day, all of us have these opportunities and these possibilities to engage with people around us. And sometimes we don't recognize them, and sometimes we ignore them, and a lot of times we kill those possibilities. And I think that, you have those opportunities every single day. You just kind of have to change your mindset.
Yeah. You said this yourself in one of your shows. You said 5 to 6 times a day you're within 30 feet of a person you could have a spark with. But I like this quote, get your head out of your apps, and maybe you can meet that person.
I believe that we're so used to not communicating face-to-face anymore. We had a woman who came to our one of our live shows in Chicago, and she said that she shared an Uber pool. You have Uber pool there in Raleigh yet?
Yeah, I believe we do. Yeah.
Yeah, she has an Uber pool with a guy. So she was sharing the Uber with a stranger. She couldn't wait to get out of the car to find him online so she could say hi. And I'm like, wait, you were right with him. And she doesn't seem comfortable to say hello to somebody who you've never met face to face anymore. And I'm like, that's where we're at now. We want to hide behind our Facebook pages, and we want to hide behind our Tinder profiles, and we want to hide behind, everything else because we've forgotten how to engage face to face.
Well, what happened? What happened? I know we got technology. We've got Tinder. We've got Bumble. We've got Match. We got all these vehicles we can use to meet people online. I remember back in the day, and I never was the guy that could go to the bar and see a girl and go up to her and talk to her. I'm not going to lie. I'll admit, I was always the coward. I would never do that unless I had a couple of drinks.
Same way, yeah.
Yeah, and I think now, it's like you said, everybody's got keyboard courage, and it's kind of a shame.
It is. We used to have to figure, people are always like, oh, it's swiping culture. And I'm like, well, no, we used to walk around the bar 50 times. That was the same as swiping. That was literally the same mindset. The difference that I think changed everything is over the last, 15 or 20 years, the women, to their credit, have ramped up their independent, I don't need a man, masculine energy. And if anything, the men have become more hesitant. They've become a little softer. The women have gotten harder, the men have gotten softer. And because of this blurred gender roles that happen to us, nobody's really sure what we're supposed to be doing. We need that technological barrier to hide behind. And I think it's going to take a while to sort that out. If you go back to, the 1930s, people were probably like, can you believe this asshole called me? Like, the phone was probably a weird thing. Like, you want to have the guy you met on the phone? Like, that was probably strange. So we're in this sort of, how do we get back to learning how to communicate with each other with this device involved? And because we're sort of confused of where we stand as men and women, it makes it a little more challenging for us to sort of take that leap and not be hesitant and just sort of go for it.
Oh man, yeah. Just by saying that, you brought back so many memories. I remember going to the bar, like in my early 20s before I was married, and just standing there like a wallflower and just fighting with myself to go up to a girl, and the fear of rejection, the bullet holes I would take. Man, I tell you.
We're all like that. The men are afraid of being rejected, and the women are afraid of being hurt. And so that makes us sort of hesitant to do anything. And, we do these great love debate shows all over the world, and just the very act of getting a couple hundred people in a room and laughing and having alcohol and being open and honest goes so far to bring the walls down, because everybody comes to our shows believing they're the only ones who feel a certain way, and by the end they realize that everybody feels that way, and there's a real comfort in that, and it goes a long way.
Well, speaking of the great love debate, and before we get into the great love debate, so you wrote a book, How to Find Love in 60 Seconds.
Yes.
Now, what like triggered in your mind to write this book? What got you into all this?
I had been working as a writer, director, producer in Hollywood for a long, long time. I worked with a lot of seemingly wonderful, beautiful women, mostly actresses. And they were always complaining about how either they sat home alone on a Saturday night, or guys don't understand them, or they only end up with jerks, and blah, blah, blah. So I wrote this book sort of satirically to sort of say, I think that's a lazy way to go about dating, and you don't understand either the power that you have, or you don't want the power that you have as women. So I wrote this book sort of from a place of not necessarily blaming the women, but we're sort of saying you're more in control of the outcome than you think they are. So when it came time to do my book tour, my promotional tour, my agent at the time said, rather than you doing a book tour with you and 24 people in a Barnes & Noble, why don't you raise some of the questions that the book raised in like a theater setting as like a promotional stunt? And I said, okay, let's do that. We did it once, and it was unbelievable. It was crazy. And I'm like, let's do this again and again and again. And it turned into the Great Love Debate, and we've gone all over the world. Then this is 5 years later. After me, you're supposed to do this one time, it sort of blew up.
Man, I'll say, so 400 plus shows over 100 cities.
Over 100 cities, 11 countries. We have literally been around the globe. We've been to Sydney, Australia, and we've been to Tel Aviv, Israel, and we've been to Singapore, and we've been to pretty much every major city in America. And it's the love, sex, dating, relationships is the one thing that every person on the planet has experience with, has an opinion on, has a history with, that can enjoy and be a part of this conversation. So it really is fascinating everywhere we go that, we continue to dig deeper and find out, what is the disconnect in every particular town. It's fascinating.
Now, when you go internationally with this, with the Great Love Debate, do you find they are having the same issues we have here in the United States as far as dating?
Pretty much everywhere we go, it comes down to confidence and communication. Everybody always wants to blame the city that they're in or the situation. We were in Tel Aviv, and a woman wanted to complain that there was too many Jewish guys there. And I'm like, okay, we're in Israel. Sorry. And it's always like that. Everywhere it's pretty much the same. But certain cultures, it is different. We've done the show in China. We did the show in Shanghai a couple years ago.
Oh, God. How'd that work out?
They have no Facebook. They have no Tinder. And most importantly, they have no porn. So if you want to, see a little nudity, you have to go on a date, just like in 1950s here. And it really affects the dating culture. It really makes men and women really have to engage with each other because they can't, go home and watch porn and play video games for a while. But Seattle's different from Milwaukee, is different from LA, is different from Charlotte. Everywhere has its own sort of reasons and its flavor to, why it is the way it is. And our job is to figure that city out over 90 minutes.
Yeah. And you're going to find out when you have your show here, because you do a lot of shows in LA and California on the West Coast. Raleigh, you're in the Bible Belt. And I think that pretty much affects the way dating is here.
Totally does.
Yeah.
We've done a bunch in Charlotte, which is a little bit different. But every time we go Nashville, Atlanta, there's a couple factors. The South, to begin with, the ages of our crowd are a little bit younger in the South. There's still, if you get married and you get divorced, the marriage failed. If you didn't get married, you failed. That's still a lot of the perception when we do the shows in the South. That's still the same way. The Bible Belt, there's a lot of people hiding behind their faith, for good and bad. That comes up a lot, and we have to dig out the truth in that city. And the more you make people laugh, the more they're going to sort of learn.
Brian's going to be at Goodnight's Comedy Club on March 25th at 8 p.m. for the Great Love Debate. And I will be a part of that panel, and I tell you, Brian, I can't wait.
Shows are fun. Every show is different. Every crowd is different. Every city's different. We never know exactly what we're going to get. So it's sort of, we wing it. And it starts, the very first question I will ask the audience there is the biggest challenge with love, dating, relationships in Raleigh, North Carolina in 2020 is what? And somebody will say something, and we go from there.
Yeah.
And we try and figure it out.
I won't spoil it, but I guarantee I know what the answer is going to be when you ask whoever that is that question.
Well, we'll see. The women think one thing and the men think the other thing, so we'll see.
But I'm just going to go out on a limb and just say technology. Technology and dating apps. I think, my personal opinion is that's what I think. I think that's changed the game. That's because it's like a buffet out there, there's always a better item on the buffet. When you find one item, you're like, oh, God, I think I like this one better. So you just move on and have a taste of that one. And that's just...
If we took everybody's phones away tomorrow, we're still fucked up. I think we're still a mess. So I think that's a little bit of our excuse that's this, but something happened to cause that, and we got to figure out what that is. What made everybody hide behind their apps? Because we weren't, like I said before, we still walked around the bar 50 times in the old days. We still didn't communicate that well. We still didn't things, and so the apps has only sort of exacerbated the problems that were already there.
Yeah.
But your social groups have more active and more varied conversations than anything I've ever seen. It's amazing.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It's constant. It's a constant flow of questions and answers and opinions and thoughts, and that's a lot like what our shows are like. It's just a constant bit of throw it all out there and see what we can come up with.
Yeah.
And add some alcohol.
Well, adding the alcohol is going to be the main catalyst of a lot of stuff, and I can't wait. This is going to be a great time. When I was listening to your podcast, I took a couple of notes of stuff that really intrigued me, and I wanted to ask you about. There was one thing you said. It was a lot of people are scared to be in a relationship because they are scared to be out of one. Now, that right there, I think I never really thought about it, but I could see how that would come into play. Is that like an insecurity thing with some people?
Well, a lot of people look at, dating or relationships like a game of musical chairs, and they're afraid that they're going to be the one stuck without a seat. So a lot of people would rather be in a bad relationship than no relationship.
Yeah.
Because no relationship is scary. Being in a relationship, even if it's not great, some people are like, well, at least I know what's bad and I'll try and make it work, and there's a certain comfort in that. But people need to understand that there's three choices here. There's being in a bad relationship, being in no relationship, or being in a good relationship. And people look at the possibility of being in a good relationship as so remote that they don't give it equal weight to the other two. And I think people need to do that. They think they need to sort of change their mindset and think that there's just as good or greater a possibility of being in a relationship that works. First, you got to get yourself out of the relationship that doesn't work, and then figure out what do you need to do, what are the steps you need to take, and how can you be in the relationship that you want.
Because I know people that are in relationships right now that, how do I say this? Like they are scared to hurt their significant other or their boyfriend or their girlfriend with the breakup, so they continue to be in that relationship and unhappy. And
getting out of a bad relationship is as valuable a skill as getting into a good one. And I think we underrate that. Like a lot of people either don't know how to do it, or they're afraid to do it, and it just goes on and on and on, and you're not only hurting the relationship, you're hurting them and you're hurting yourself. So we've devoted a couple of podcasts to literally like when it's time to break up and how do you get out of it, because that is something that doesn't get talked about a lot at all, and it is hard. It's hard. You don't want to hurt anybody. You don't want to be the bad guy. You still think that, there's a chance it might work out, and sometimes that goes on for years and years, and that's an underrated thing.
Yeah, I can only speak for myself. I was married 14 years, and I know around year 7, I think that's the average that marriages last in the United States now. When I think after 7 years, you get that itch, and most divorces occur at 7 years. I remember thinking at 7 years, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I'm unhappy. It's time to move on. But I did it. I stayed 7 more years because, I don't know, I guess I just wasn't brave enough to get out of it. And I just wanted to stay in it for the kids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's reasons, that's a good reason too. But I ask people a lot, and somebody says, I go, how long were you married? And they'll say 9 years. And I was like, well, when did you know that it probably wasn't going to work out forever? And they'll say, the wedding.
Oh my God. The wedding.
When he proposed. I'm like, wait, it went on 9 years. And they're like, yeah, I know. And that's really a common thing where once you kind of know in your head it's over, it still goes on quite a while. And it's a challenge,
Yeah. And I've told myself this. A lot of people say the same thing I do, but I am real selective, and it's going to take one hell of a woman to make me put a ring on my finger again. I mean, I just don't know if I could do it. I'm actually having too much fun being single, man. And
famous last words, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is fun to be single. People who really do enjoy meeting people and dating and, that outlook, that does go well. I mean, that is a good mindset to have. Like, you're not afraid and you're not hiding in your house for 9 years, which a lot of people do. A lot of people just kind of take their ball and go home after they break up. They're like, I don't want to go through that again. But if you have the mindset, like, I just want to start out by meeting people that I find interesting and engaging and move up to then somebody I find attractive and then who I want to spend time with and go from there. Some people just look at it like, I'm going to get divorced. Am I not going to get married again? And that's too big a question at that point. You need to just sort of get used to being around people of the opposite sex again and having a good time and enjoying them. And a lot of people sort of forget that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Brian, I remember when I separated, it was so hard to get back into the dating scene, man. I mean, I hadn't had to do that in 14 years. I'd never had to.
And it's all different world now.
Yeah.
Can't pick a girl up in your car for a date anymore. It's different.
It's totally different, man. I tell you what I did do. I did something the other night I've never done in my life. I actually took my daughter on a first date with me. And so did my date.
Oh.
She took her daughter on the date too.
Oh, wow. That's bold.
Oh, it was very bold, but I really wanted to meet this girl. And she was totally game for it too. And I'm looking at it like this, people aren't bold enough to make that move. I am evolving dating even more, I'm breaking boundaries.
Did the kids get along?
The date actually went awesome, and we're still talking, and we're still thinking about going out again. But yeah, it was different. But I think we all have to change with the times, and it sucks. Nobody likes to change. Everybody wants to be that person, get off my lawn. But it's getting so much harder out there to get a date. So let me ask you this. Did you ever use any of the apps?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I think it's how you use them and what you use them for. The apps are only a means to an end, meaning you've got to figure out how to move off of line, off the app and to meet in person as quickly as possible.
Yes.
And if you don't do that, because I think the pool of people on the apps is exactly the same pool now. Like, they're so mainstream. It used to be like, it was a whole different group of people and agenda on the apps. I don't think so anymore. I think you got to find the people that you just want to get in the same room with and get in as quickly as possible. A lot of people just hit the ping pong ball back and forth for days or weeks and they don't get anywhere out of it. So you got to figure out a way to here's what I'm looking for. You sound interesting. Let's go get an ice cream, and do that. And force it. A lot of people just want the safety of the app to do the work for them, and you can't do that.
It's changed, man. I remember in 2013, I think Tinder was brand new. I know Bumble wasn't even around. Tinder was brand new, and it was easy to get a match. Back then, I mean, Tinder was fun between 2013 and probably 2016. But now... they
weren't so skeptical.
Now it sucks. It's like a match every 2 weeks. I'm not even lying. For a guy, it's horrible, man. It's bad.
You can't only use the apps, and I think you have to do both. I always say that the best dating site is Earth. And what I mean by that is, like, you can't forget that the live people around you really are your best shot, and you should supplement it with some online dating. But if you're just online dating, you've really lost your ability to look at the world around you. And I think people need to do both all the time, and some people only want to do the apps. And a lot of women are just like, I need 6 positive swipes before I go to bed. It's almost a game. They have no real intention of actually meeting anybody. And I think the men probably do this too. They just want to be like, okay, 5 guys thought I was attractive. Good night. And that's it. And it's not a game. And you don't want to waste people's time or your own time. You have to use it with purpose and proper intent.
Mm-hmm. But it sounds almost like it's to satisfy their ego type thing, There's
a lot of that. Yep.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said, ask a question that you would ask your spouse that he or she wouldn't object to if you were married. That's something to, like, break the ice with someone.
Yeah. I always say, if you want to approach a stranger, Yeah, you can go up to any, if you're a man or a woman, I believe that you can go up to any man or woman anywhere and ask them a question if that question was something that if you were married, your spouse would not get mad at you. So if you're in a Starbucks and you ask somebody, hey, are they still serving the pumpkin spice latte? Everybody will gladly answer that. Nobody's going to be offended by that. Nobody's going to be bothered by that. It's simply a way to strike up a conversation without being so over the top, I'm hitting on you, or I like you, or you're hot, or anything like that. I think if you're just, what I always say, you hit the ball over the net and hope they hit it back. And the best way to do that is to ask them a question. People like to be helpful. People like to be asked questions as long as it's not too personal.
You know what I think, too? I think a lot of guys are afraid because they don't want to come across as the creep. You know what I'm saying? Just like walking up to a girl and asking them a question like that.
A lot of times if she thinks you're the creep, that's on her. A lot of women think everybody's the creep now. And a lot of us probably are the creep, but if you have sort of a genuine intent, there's nothing creepy about that. So if you're legitimately just, interested and you're trying to say hello and break the ice, you should never feel that that's creepy. And if she interprets that as creepy and she doesn't want to talk to you, oh well, you lost 15 seconds of your life. Who cares? Move on. Do it again.
Very true. Man, I see why you are America's leading dating influencer. That's some good shit right there, man.
I've heard from a lot of people. We've had close to 150,000 people come to these shows. So we have, heard from every possible, demographic, walk of life, everything. So, some of that does trickle into my brain once in a while.
So, and you actually, I can't remember the number. I want to say 48 engagements. Am I right or am I off?
That's that we know of. That we know of for sure. We're over 50 people who are now either engaged or married already. We've been doing this 5 years. From people who first connected at a Great Love Debate show, either before, during, or especially after. What we really are good at bringing the walls down and letting people feel a little bit confident again. It really is sort of magical.
Wow, I know the feeling, man, because ATB's been around since September of 2018. And since then, we've had one marriage and we've got 2 engagements. I don't think that's too bad for a year and some change.
There's a sense of community there that I'm part of something that goes a long, long way.
Yeah, it's something, man. But sometimes I feel like I'm the principal of a high school of adults.
That's the deal. I hear you. I know what you're saying.
And this, I've heard this come out of, and I'm going to get crucified for this by the ladies of ATB, but I've heard this from mostly them. Women look for red flags, and it is the truth. I mean, this was one of your quotes from your show. Women look for red flags, and men look for green lights, and that is the honest to God truth. Yep. The honest to God truth.
I stand by that.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think that men are fundamentally more optimistic when it comes to dating, and at times more romantic when it comes to dating than the women are. And women, a lot of women are going to be like, yeah, that's because you haven't gone out with the guys we've gone out with. And I'm like, maybe, but it also means that they're willing to put the bad experiences behind them and keep looking forward. And I think that's a good thing. I think so many people spend time dating, looking in the rearview mirror, looking to what happened in the past and bringing that forward, that baggage forward into the new relationship. When you kind of have to just come forward with a hopeful attitude and think this person is going to be a better experience than my last person. And I think that's key to everything. If you're going into it with a positive, hopeful, optimistic attitude, that's going to go a long way to changing the mood and the environment of this new connection.
Yeah. Yeah, I see some women that just keep posting negatively about what they're looking for, or not what they're looking for, but what they're not looking for. And when I see that, I roll my eyes because I'm already thinking to myself, I don't want any part of this woman because I can tell the way she's going to be if we're in a relationship. So I think a lot of people, a lot of women, in my opinion, I mean, guys do it too, just to be fair out there, but a lot of women commit like relationship suicide when they write stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I ask women all the time, what makes you happy? And the list of what makes them unhappy is right there. It's ready to go. The list of what makes them happy isn't quite so accessible because they haven't given that nearly as much thought. And so that affects your mindset. If you're constantly thinking about what you don't like, what you don't want, what makes you unhappy, you're not going to spend that energy thinking about the flip side of that, the positive side of that. And if you don't know right away what makes you happy, there's no way he's going to know. And so you're going to have to flip your brain around and think, these are the things I want and where are they? Not always looking for the things you don't want and where are they?
When it comes to paying on a date, who pays?
Yes.
And are there different circumstances that would determine who pays?
Well, I think, at least early on, at least for the first 3 dates, he paid for everything.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. First of all, there's very little chance that the guy gets to sort of be the old-fashioned guy anymore. That's one of them. When you offer to pay, I think most guys want to pay, and most women want him to pay. So that's still the case. Still 90% of the time, he wants to pay, and she wants him to pay. And a lot of women are like, well, I want to offer to pay. When you offer to pay as a woman, that tells him one of 3 things. None of them are good. It either says, this isn't a date, or it says, we're not going to do this again, or it says, I don't want to owe you anything. So if you don't want to see him again, go ahead and offer to pay and whatever. What he really wants out of you is a sincere thank you and sincere appreciation. Because trust me, a really sincere thank you goes a lot farther than your $45. Okay?
Yeah.
And a lot of women, would rather be like, I don't need him for this. I don't want it to. I don't want to owe him all these kind of things. And there's this whole disconnect when it comes to the gender roles. When it comes to that, I still think we're boys and girls. And I don't care, yes, maybe you make more money than him. Well, then once you're in a relationship, that sort of thing will sort itself out. I think that it'll level out once you're in a relationship who pays with what. That's different. But early on, I think he pays. I think he wants to pay. I think she wants him to pay. So all this other stuff is just blurring that.
I think maybe I'm just screwed up because if you ask a girl out, you pay. If she asks you out, then she offers to pay, and you immediately say, no, I've got this. Look, I'm the kind of guy.
I think that's.
Go ahead.
Well, how often are you getting asked out by girls? Lucky you, I guess. I'm not getting asked out that much, so who knows?
Well, I mean, when you get asked out by girls, it's probably sometimes girls that you probably wouldn't go out with, just to be fair.
Right.
But it has happened a couple of times, and I always, if a girl offers to pay, I'm automatically going to say, no, I've got this. And I'm going to pay 100% of the time. The only way I'm not going to pay is if she wants to fight me over it at the table. And I've had a couple of, insist and not let me pay. And I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. And yeah,
Well, I think little things. If you pay for dinner, she can get a drink for you afterwards. If you got, this, she can buy breakfast. If, there's little things that, yes, she can do. But if you're asking her out on a date, you can't be asking her for $35 for a Caesar salad. Like, you just can't.
Oh, my God. So I went on this one date one time with this girl, and she was a random Facebook request, and this has been 3 years ago. And I will tell you, people listening out there, the random Facebook request does work. It does work. I mean, it comes off creepy to some people, but you can pull it off if you know how to, make a conversation.
Even LinkedIn is a dating site if you use it right. It's all dating sites.
It is, yes. Oh my God! But Facebook dating is the worst, man. It's worse than Plenty of Fish. But anyway, that's a whole different topic for another day. So I was on this date. I went to a sushi restaurant with this girl, and oh my God, man, she started ordering one of everything off the menu, and I was just sitting there this girl was so beautiful. I mean, she's the lead singer of a band here in town, and she's kind of popular, but I'm sitting here looking at her going, wow, that's just not even worth it. This is what I'm going to have to deal with every time I go out with this girl. She's just going to keep stacking it and stacking it and stacking it, and I'm going to get a freaking 5-figure bill. It's going to be $400 or $500 every time we go out to eat. And no, and not only the food.
I live in Los Angeles. They expect you to take her shopping after the date. So,
Yeah.
yeah. You get easy.
Brother, let me tell you, Los Angeles and Raleigh are two different ballparks, man. I remember going to L.A. and sitting at a cafe and just looking, and we were close to the beach or some boardwalk. I can't remember, but this has been years ago. And every woman I saw was beautiful, man. Like drop dead, like 9s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. I did not see not one unattractive woman. It was crazy. So, but then the competition out there. Oh yeah, yeah, and it's like I heard on the podcast I was listening of yours today. Like everybody's looking for something bigger, better, and richer.
That's right.
So
yeah, I mean, I live right on the beach in Los Angeles, and it is you kind of just have to ignore it because it's an expensive, superficial scene, and it's going to be costly if you don't know what you're doing. Be careful out there, Los Angeles Gators.
Oh man, I've been out there twice. That's enough for me, man. I'd fall in love with the place way too much. But who knows? I got interviewed for a reality show last night. We'll see if I get on it, and so it's out there in California.
Wow,
yeah, I'm wishing myself luck on this one, but who knows, man. I do want to ask you one thing before I let you go because I don't want to hold you up all night. So you did something back in 1999 that caught my eye. So you were a producer of VH1's Karaoke Cabaret.
Yes, that is correct. We had celebrities doing karaoke. Yes.
And so I'm looking at the list here. So you had Roseanne Barr, Kevin Cronin, Fergie, Debbie Gibson, Winona Judd, Jillian Keegan, Moby, Audrey Rose, Fred Schneider, Russell Steinberg, and Sting. Sting! Sting! Did he win the competition? I mean, really? No contest.
He came out, he sang Don't You Want Me by the Human League in Las Vegas. It was unbelievable. He walked in, sang the song, walked out, and we never saw him again. It was unbelievable, though. Yeah, it's great.
What do you have any like funny stories from that show, or?
Yeah, well, I remember Roseanne was the host of it, and we would have production meetings where Roseanne would sit at the table with all of us producers, and you could not speak directly to her. You had to speak to her assistant, and then the assistant would relay the information almost like an interpreter. It was so bizarre because this was day after day that we would be 3 feet away from her and you could not speak directly to Roseanne. It was nuts.
What? Oh my God! What in the world was her like rationale for that?
I'm better than you, and I'm more famous than you, and I'm richer than you. Some celebrities are like that. The ones who are really far up the chain, the big celebs, they're totally cool. They don't care. Usually it's their people, their publicists, and their managers who are difficult. But like Sting was cool. Somebody like Roseanne, who was still a little insecure about her place in all this, she wanted to. That comes across that way, and I've always noticed that. Like we deal with some real, like we've had some pretty big stars, do the Great Love Debate. The bigger they are, the cooler they are. It's sort of these middle range, reality show people that are hard to deal with.
I could see that too. They're holding on to their fame or trying to make it more than what it is, and they think they need to act a certain way to make them feel bigger. It's ridiculous. But how was Debbie Gibson? Because I had a childhood crush on her, man. She was like I had a big poster of her.
So did I, and then I didn't think you didn't hear this podcast that I did. I actually dated her later.
Oh, and, no, yes.
You do not want to date your childhood crush. Trust me, it ruins everything. I'll just say that. Good luck to Debbie, but never date your crush. Never meet your heroes. None of that.
So I'm going to ask you right now, which podcast was that? What number? Because I need to listen to that one.
It's the one with, it's one of the ones we did with Tatum O'Neal, who, Tatum O'Neal was also a big crush of mine. And so I brought her on to talk about crushes, and she asked me about my crush, and then I said how I dated her, and then I told the whole story. So whichever one had Tatum O'Neal on it the first time.
All right, I'm going to check that one out, man. Well, look, Brian, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you coming on ATB's Hammered. I look forward to being on the Great Love Debate. For all you out there listening, the tickets are $20, right, Brian?
That's right. Go to greatlovedebate.com for all the information and tickets and all that. or go to the Good Nights website. They have all that stuff too, and every person in Raleigh should be there.
It's going to be, yeah, because I'm on it. I'm going to be on the panel, folks. Come see me. Come see Brian. Also, a friend of mine, Gina Carucci, and Brandon Cuthrell are going to be on this. Good Nights Comedy Club on March 25th at 8 p.m. Also, go to Brian's YouTube channel and check out the Great Love Debate podcast. I'm telling you, there's some good information up there. I listened to at least 3 of those podcasts in the past 2 days. He's got some housewives of Jersey, I think. I don't remember their names, but these girls are crazy.
Crazies, a lot of normal people, a lot of good stuff. But yeah, it's a fun podcast. The live show's even better. So come on out, everybody.
That live show is going to be fun. Brian, thanks for being with us on Hammer tonight, man. I appreciate your time, and I will see you on March the 25th, brother.
Thanks, buddy. I'll see you there.
All right, man. All right, this has been Mike on ATB Hammered. You guys take it easy out there, and hey, check the events tab. We'll check you later.